Y'all peep the new Michael movie? I got a few thoughts to share about it. If you're open to hear me talk a little bit about Michael Jackson before I hop off of here. I won't spoil it too much, because I know there are individuals who haven't seen it yet. So, I'll keep it simple. Fonzie says, heard they played it safe. They did play it safe. Actually, I watched that movie and I had a lot of thoughts. Come to my mind. Obviously, if you haven't seen the new Michael movie, it is about the story of Michael Jackson and his upbringing, and they did leave a lot of things out. But I do think for the fact that I've heard his story so many times, told through so many different places, so many different documentaries, all the different films, the VHS films that I even grew up on as a kid, the stories I've heard, the things I've seen. There's something super insane about the work ethic that went into what the Jacksons had to endure, the brothers, the family. Joe Jackson, that's a whole nother topic of discussion, but I think what I can ultimately say in learning about Michael and his brothers, I feel like a lot of people, a lot of individuals do skip out on a few things when it comes to this movie. And I think it's specifically about the brothers. I feel like the brothers don't get enough mention. Michael is the GOAT, and I don't want to discredit Michael, but the same thing he had to endure is what all of them did. I just watched the news report. If you want to check the history so I don't sound like I'm dissing Michael Jackson or anything, there's a 1984 news report, right, of Michael Jackson during the Victory Tour and how his family really, really pushed him to, like, you know, do it as a family versus have his own tour. And there was a segment in this footage, you can look this up for yourself, of Jackie talking about his experience. And he mentioned how active he was. He was very boop, 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 boop. And homie had to go get a piece of a bone in his, like, kneecap cut off and removed. And because of it, he couldn't finish off the Victory Tour with his brothers. Meaning the rest of the tour was about to go on and he didn't do the shows. He couldn't play. And he's on the news report. And all I could think in my mind is, like, if this man had to endure getting a piece of his bone of his leg cut out just so he could perform, that's just Jackie. We ain't talking about the others. There's we're talking about other individuals that were with Michael being pushed as hard. I feel like the amount of respect that we need to put on all the Jacksons to endure that amount and get to that point, there is no amount of money ever that could replace life, bro. And I realized that listening to Jackie talk on the news report. You can look it up. It's an ABC life, like news report of them talking about the tour and how much chaos ensued from it. Superdome, them not making much money from it because how much they put into it and how many people were involved in it. And bro, there was a lot of stuff involved that Michael obviously had to endure, but it was all of them. And when you think about it, they're considered the greatest, like, historically, black family in, like, the music industry history, entertainment history. There hasn't been anybody since that has hit, like, a family. I'm not talking about, like, a few people. I'm talking about, like, the family as a whole. There hasn't been a family since that crushed that kind of like showmanship, talent, breeding one of the, if not the best artist like ever. So all that to say, if you're watching this movie, you go to see this Michael movie. Something that you gotta know. Don't expect it to be exactly like how you learned about it the first time. If you saw these documentaries, things about Michael on YouTube, if you watched a VHS as a child, it's gonna be a little bit inaccurate. And I think that's a good thing. Yeah. If you do go with a friend, make sure they like Michael Jackson too. Because I've heard some really like awful takes. You know, take with that as you wish. But I went and saw the movie with my girl and it was dope. There were a lot of really great memories. Sing like Jafar, and Jafar can act a mess out of a role, bro. He was crushing it. Yeah. But it's so interesting to see that and learn about like the story behind some of the things. I didn't even know Don King was involved. Like, bro, Don King, the boxing promoter, was involved with the Victory Tour and then got removed after the accident? What? Man. I'll genuinely say, as someone who is a enjoyer of entertainment and music, I think the movie was really good. There's so much footage cut out of it that there might be a part 2 that I heard. It's pretty crazy. I genuinely think because of everything that Michael had to endure, there's other stuff that the brothers had to endure as well that they didn't talk about. I'm sure as a family they try to keep it together, and all due respects to the Jacksons, man, I commend what those men did, because that opened up a way for young black youth to be able to express themselves, and that somehow, some way correlated to me and my story. Like, that does a huge service. And anybody who gets a chance to ever even glimpse at the chance of talking to any of them, pay your respects as you see them, because a family like the Jacksons don't come around every so often. That is a God-designed thing that happened. And a lot of individuals that I know within every part of entertainment are inspired by the Jacksons. You can see their influence. You can see the obvious influence that Michael Jackson played on entertainment as a whole. But family first, bro. There's legacy. And I think it made me think about my legacy consistently over the last like 3 weeks. So when I do these live streams and I do this Makers FM thing, just know I think about that future 20 years from now, 20, 30 years from now, like establishing that, but let me know what y'all think. If y'all seen it, let me know. I would love to know what y'all think. Drop a little thing in there, man. Crash said critics is expected to see the negative in the movie. The world can find that online. There's so much, but then you really think about what they had to endure, man. They endured a lot, and just to be able to do what I'm doing right now on this live stream, there's a connection to that happening here. So